Hello folks, welcome to my video review and flight test for the HS720G. This is one of Holystone's more recent drone releases. I'm very excited to try this thing out. The G in the model name actually stands for gimbal. This drone does have a 2-axis gimbal, which is a really nice thing to see here on an entry-level drone. And it is also able to record at up to 4K 30 frames per second as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the footage comes out like. I've got my memory card in, so just need to install the battery. I'll show you the setup process and then we'll get the flight underway. And stick around, I'll show you what came in the box a little bit later on as well. Now, turning the drone on is simple enough. We have the button at the back here of the battery. And once we get that bleeped, we know we're good to go. And then turning on the controller is just with this switch here. And what we just need to do now is make sure that we are connected to the Wi-Fi. And we are looking for a network that says Holystone. There we go. Right, and once we are connected to the Wi-Fi, we are opening up the Orphelia Go app. And just select Enter Device. And straight away, we can see we have a picture. And that's awesome. What I'm going to do first of all is just go through the calibration. If I start the screen recording here as well. Okay, in order to do the geomagnetism calibration, I'm going to pop the controller down. I'm going to lift the drone up and I'm going to turn it horizontally 3 times. Sometimes you get a bleep, sometimes you don't. But the LEDs should. Yep, we got the bleep and the LED started flashing green. We then lift the drone up vertically and repeat the process. This is calibrating the compass. And we get the bleep again. So that is nicely done. And it looks like the gimbal has reoriented itself. So that's awesome to see. The only other thing I want to show you, and the instructions I don't think make this clear, you can calibrate the GPS before takeoff, which is again something I would recommend. Move these sticks to the bottom left. It says gyro calibration up at the top there. Make sure the drone's on a level surface, which mine is. And we should be good to go. Yes, perfect. Right, unfortunately, it's a little bit windy at the moment, but we are going to be having rain for the rest of the week, so I need to take this opportunity and make the most of it. But we'll see how the drone handles this breeze. You can see the tree there just swaying in the wind. So, you know, I don't know how stable things are going to be, but let's give this a go. Before we take off, let me just check my settings. A lot of these settings can't be changed when you're actually in the air. And I've turned beginner mode off already. That will give us just more control here. So our return to home altitude, I'm going to set that to 30 meters. I think it's probably a good option. And we'll keep everything else up at the max. And camera, we are at 4K 30 frames per second. Perfect. We could drop it down to 1080p 60, but I'll keep it where it is right now. And yeah, update the data. We are good to go. Let's start recording as well, so we can capture that footage directly onto the SD card. Now, in order to take off, we're going to unlock the motors. And up into the air we go. And lovely, we are having a nice stable drone there. Okay, we're not getting a lot of sway, which is something that's really important to see. Okay, that means we're just going to be able to fly a little bit more smoothly. And I can already see that gimbal in action on the screen recording. We're getting a nice stable footage there. So let's turn the drone around, get a little bit of height. Oh, that's nice. I tell you what, Holystone's drones, for the price point that they come in at, they do such a wonderful job. They really do. And I tell you what, the gimbal, it makes a huge difference. It seriously does. So we should be able to adjust the angle there. Yeah, maybe not that much. I just want to be able to see some of the ground and some of the sky. And I think that the footage looks great. Having that gimbal makes such a huge world of difference. It really does. So let's just get a little bit more height now. I'm just watching how the drone manages to keep its position. And there is a little bit of sway there, but it is, as I say, quite windy right now. So I'm not surprised by that at all. Just watching those birds there, I'll make sure that we don't interfere with them. Just a couple of seagulls. It's that time of year at the moment around here, so I do have to be aware of that when flying. Yeah, I've just dropped the gimbal down there. Okay, you can see me in glorious 4K, hopefully. So what I'm going to do is just briefly go over some of the additional features. Headless mode is an interesting one. It allows the drone to be oriented based on the position it was when it first took off. So it's helpful for beginners. So right now, because the drone's facing me, if I move the control stick to the left, the drone will actually go to the right. If I move the control stick to the right, the drone will go to the left. In headless mode, it will always move in the orientation that you are facing it, so long as you are not going to move when you first take off. But orbit flight will do an orbit around the subject. I'm not going to do that because there's too many trees around here, and of course this drone has no obstacle avoidance. But follow me, if I just enable that. Okay, now as I move around, the drone, in theory, should keep up with me. So if I move back here, yep, I can see the drone is physically moving towards me. Now, the way this works is it's not following me as a pilot. I'll cancel that now. It's not following me as a pilot. It's following the controller itself. It's keeping a GPS lock on the controller. So, yeah, you can get some nice shots with that, but it's more of a fun thing rather than something that you will probably be spending too much serious time with. And I'll just show you a couple of pictures as well. So here's the first picture. And another one for you. Yeah, hopefully the quality of those is adequate. But honestly, having this 2-axis gimbal, then you can just see how stable that footage is. I mean, the drone is swaying a little bit in the wind. I can see it moving up and down and side to side a little bit. But the gimbal is doing a great job there. You know, sometimes when you fly some of the Holystone drones that don't have their gimbals, and they just have, say, software image stabilization, then you get a more sporty look to the footage. But with the gimbal, you get a far more cinematic look, in my opinion. So I really like that. Yeah, and it is keeping its position very well, despite the fact it's having to compensate for that wind. Just make sure you do have your GPS turned on, otherwise it's going to be going all over the place. And if I just gain a little bit of height here, we're going to try the return to home feature. So we'll start it about there. We'll tap the return to home button, and we'll slide that. And that's going to go to the height that I set it to, which I think is 40 meters. Looks like we're going to about 40, or is it 30? Oh, well, no, 30 it was. It's just coming back now. And I took off from the table just here, so I don't think it's going to be that close, but it looks like it's not going to be far off. So if you do tend to lose the drone, or if you just want to have that manual return, then this is a great feature to use. And the great thing is as well, I'm going to cancel that now as it looks like we're getting fairly close there. There we go. Yeah, that was actually not far off. The great thing is if you lose all connection to the actual controller itself, then the drone will initiate the return to home functionality automatically with no input from the pilot whatsoever. So yeah, it is going to be a great little feature to have should you lose signal. But honestly, you know, I am super impressed. I really like these drones from Holystone. They are just so much fun to fly. They really, really are. And like I say, you know, that gimbal just adds an extra dimension when it comes to the footage you are going to be able to record. Okay, right, let's go ahead. I'm going to bring it in for a landing now, and then I'm going to show you what's in the box, okay? So stick around for that, and then after that, I'll share my final thoughts with you after this quick test flight today. One of the things I do love about these Holystone drones is they always include a decent carrying case in the package. And we do have here the HS720G, which is a foldable drone. So unlike some other drones, there is no need to install and remove the props every time you take this thing out to flight. A notable feature is the fact that this drone has the 2-axis gimbal. It also weighs 372 grams, and it has a slot for a micro SD memory card as well. Elsewhere, we will find the controller. This, I believe, is the same controller we have seen several times now from Holystone with their drones, and it's a functional controller. If I'm honest, I do tend to find these controllers a little bit flimsy to the feel, but I've never had any problems with them breaking. They have always worked absolutely fine. Just note you will need to supply your own 2 AA batteries. And speaking of batteries, the accessories box, first of all, does include the main drone battery. Now, I am used to finding 2 batteries in these drone packages from Holystone. However, it does seem that this single battery has been upgraded. You now get 26 minutes of flight time, which is really impressive. I'm happy about that. And it has USB-C charging as well, which is always nice. Nobody likes micro USB. To round off the package, you do get an included screwdriver, you get a USB-C charging cable, and you also get an extra set of props for spare as well. Oh, and I mustn't forget to mention, you do get a helpful manual. If you are new to Holystone's drones, I strongly advise reading this, along with the various other documentation they've included. Okay, folks, so that was my test flight with the HS720G, and I love it, I really do. These Holystone drones, they're such a great entry point into the hobby, and I really liked how stable that footage looked with a 2-axis gimbal. It's not a full 3-axis gimbal, but it's something, and it does make a world of difference. So I'm going to say goodbye to you all. I'm going to get the battery recharged, and I think I'm going to have another go. Take care, everybody. Have fun. Goodbye.